Welcome to Midlife Schmidlife, the online community for listeners who want to redefine the middle years and recreate their lives lived to the fullest. Join our host, Liz Applegate, as she interviews guests over the age of 40 who are turning their maybe somedays into today and going after their dreams. Let's get the party started.
Hey, Schmidlifers, welcome back to the Midlife Schmidlife podcast. And if you are a new listener to the podcast, I want to extend a very special welcome. I'm your host, Liz Applegate, your life coach and midlife strategist, helping you to redefine the middle years to live a life filled with passion and purpose. Now, this is week 2 of the Midlife Toolbox series. I will be having conversations with experts around the topics of health, self-care, career and business, style, and relationships. If you missed last week, we actually kicked off the series with a conversation with my friend Paula Jenkins, a joyful living coach. Now, she gave tips about finding balance in our lives and how choosing joy can often be the hardest choice to make, but it is such an important one to do so. She offered the Midlife Schmidlife listeners a discount on her upcoming course, Roots and Wings. So be sure to go back and listen to that episode if you missed it. And you can also find all the information and how to connect with Paula at midlifeschmidlife.com/joy. On today's show, I'm introducing you to Gail Arnold, a certified health coach. Gail has a wonderful story to share on how she started her coaching practice, but we are also going to talk about the importance of balancing our hormones through information and nutrition. Her passion for her work comes through, and she easily breaks down the relationship of the hormones in our body. And it finally all made sense to me, so I know that you will want to tune in. I mean, you could just hear the passion in her voice. I really loved it. But she talks about cortisol and insulin, thyroid support. So it's very interesting, and I know that you will learn a lot. Now, I just want to add in a brief statement. What you hear in this episode is for information purposes only. I know that we are all adults here with common sense, but I want to stress to please consult your physician before taking any supplements or switching medication. Now, you'll be able to find all the links mentioned on this episode over in the show notes at midlifeschmidlife.com/hormones. So let's head on over to the interview. Hello, Schmidlifers. I'm here today with Gail Arnold, a certified health coach who works with women who are in transition and wanting to revitalize their lives. She truly believes that we all have the right and deserve to be living a life that feels good to us. She helps women bring hormones back in balance, gain more energy and focus, maybe possibly even drop a few pounds, and stop feeling heavy and drab so they can live their lives the way that feels good to them. Thanks for joining me, Gail.
Thank you, Liz. I'm really excited to be here.
Excited to have you too. Now, we are in the middle of what I'm calling the Toolbox series. And when I learned what you talk about and what you help women with, I just felt you were a perfect fit to come and talk about women getting their hormones back in balance and just living a life that is full. So yeah, how did you get started on this journey, just out of curiosity?
Well, in my life, I've lived a pretty stressful up and down roller coaster ride. And I was working in the corporate world I was doing graphic design for 30-something years, and I was a single parent, and I was so unhappy. I was living in a place that just didn't feel right for me. I didn't feel like I fit in the corporate environment, and back in 2006, I thought I would try something, not try something different, try a different job. So I moved with my job to a different part of the country. It was super stressful for me. And while I was there, I was teaching yoga along with my regular job, and I um, I have always been interested in making food choices, and I happened to be introduced to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and it intrigued me. So I called them, and when I talked to the woman there, I felt like that was the people I belonged with. So right around that time, I happened to get laid off from my job. And at that point where I was living, jobs weren't very plentiful. So I came back to Virginia and I found another corporate job. And it was doing the same thing, graphic design. I love doing graphic design. I just do not like office politics. And so one day I was trying to stay out of trouble. And I was on this website, and do you know who Rick Steves is?
I don't, but I will have to look him up.
Yeah, well, he writes these Europe Through the Back Door budget travel books.
Oh, okay.
And I've always loved traveling. It's a huge passion of mine. I've lived in different parts of the world, and I just love that experience. So when I was on his website, I noticed up in the little right-hand corner, there was this little thing that said they were giving away trips, 10 trips that year. So I entered the contest, and I happened to win.
Oh, wow.
I won a trip to Paris, and the week that I won that trip, I was like, oh my God, the universe is talking to me. Time for me to change jobs. So I just decided that I was going to quit. I had become certified as a health coach during that time, and I decided it was time for me to start my own coaching practice. So I started my business in 2011, and since then I have, on top of what I already knew, I learned a lot more about hormones, about what works for me, about how important it is to be living a life that I love, be doing the things that I love doing, around the people that I love being around, experiencing all the beauty there is in the world, and how important it is to have my body in a really good shape to be able to do those things.
Yes, yes. Oh, I so agree. I so agree. That is just a great story, Gail. That's just amazing. You won a trip to Paris
Oh, yeah.
for one thing, but just how it all lined up as well to just open this door for you to help others.
Right.
Yeah. So this is Midlife Schmidlife, and I didn't think I was going to be asking this question, but I usually do ask, how old were you when this happened?
57 maybe. And,
Yeah.
I've always been pretty active, and I have 4 kids, and we've always been really active. And as I started feeling those hormone imbalances, I've also been diagnosed hypothyroid. So when I was diagnosed with that, I started doing a lot of research because I realized that almost every woman that I talked to was hypothyroid. They were on Synthroid. At one point, I said, I think it's a male conspiracy.
Right.
And I started doing a lot of research, and I realized that the information that we were being given was not working. Most of the women weren't feeling the way they felt they should be feeling. A lot of women weren't, and they weren't asking questions. They weren't allowing themselves to say, this isn't working for me. I want to try something different. A lot of women were just like falling into this pattern of, well, whatever they say, that's what I do.
Right.
So through my research, I found that there were different ways to get to the point where I was feeling much, much better. I started doing things that worked for my body and not for a general population. And through that journey, I learned about a lot of different things to incorporate, how things can work for one person and not work for another person. And I also allowed myself to say, no, I'm not doing that.
Right.
I feel much better. I'm always trying different things and, upgrading the way I feel.
And so have you been able to find, this journey that you went through, it was nutritional based?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Well, I think it kind of all goes together.
Right.
I do believe that if you don't feel good, you know that you want something different, and you don't feel good, so overwhelm kicks in. I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can't do this because and it sort of becomes like a whole mix of overwhelm, and then it keeps you from making the changes that really will get you where you really want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's just making one little change that creates like a domino effect, and you do start feeling better. So you start making different choices, start moving into a direction that you like more. I do feel that life is a journey, so it's never that we really arrive. We just learn to appreciate the the bumps along the road.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So.
So you spoke a little bit about, and you spoke a little bit about just sort of going along with what a doctor tells you.
Mhm.
So, and actually, I have several friends who they are taking thyroid medication, and so I'm not sure what I'm asking, other than what do you feel our responsibility is in all that?
Well, I believe that we know our body better than anybody,
Mhm.
and I think it's more beneficial to make a shift to allow to partnering with somebody, saying my doctor, my naturopath, my integrative nutritionist, or is my partner in this. Not, and this is a shift for me too, because we are sort of guided to the belief that doctors, medical practitioners, they know it all. They're like gods, and whatever they say goes.
Right.
But when you start looking into things and taking responsibility for your own health, you realize that these are people too. That they're overwhelmed too with things that they need to fix or take care of, and they're inundated with marketing themselves. So I believe that asking questions, and you have a right to feel good. None of us need to. None of us really are supposed to be living sick.
Right.
And if you don't have the energy to get up and go for a walk because you've gained so much weight, or you haven't slept well the night before, or you have foggy thinking, you have the right to say, something's not working for me, and I want to find the things, whatever it is that works. And if you go to a doctor and the doctor says, well, the general population, you fall within this category. Well, that's not working for me. So let me go somewhere else and find somebody
Right.
else that can give me an answer that does work for me. And I actually had to do that at one point. I had gone off my thyroid medication because when I first started, when I was first diagnosed, was when I was going through my divorce. Of course, I was sad and depressed, and
Sure.
not sleeping well, and I was having a lot of stomach issues, and I'd always had a lot of stomach issues. And I went to my general practitioner, and we did some blood work, and he goes, "Oh, guess what? You're hypothyroid." So I said, "Oh, great! All my other friends are hypothyroid too."
Right.
So he gave me a prescription, and it was way too much, and I became hyperthyroid. And I think we went back and forth like 3 or 4 times before I said, "I don't think you know what's going on." I didn't say that to him.
Right.
I
Right.
went to an endocrinologist, and he kind of leveled it out, but and he put me on Synthroid, and then. As I started doing more research, I realized that Synthroid is synthetic thyroid hormone, and it's T4, and that's not the active form of thyroid hormone. T3 is the active form. Um,
Mhm.
and generally, doctors do not prescribe T3. So I still wasn't feeling the way I thought I should be feeling. So in my research, I found that Armour thyroid, which is bioidentical, works much better for me, and it's a T3 form of the thyroid hormone instead of T4. So there's a whole learning understanding that I think really helps. When we have more information, then we can make better choices.
Right.
So
true. It is so true. And I've shared before, but I actually am taking bioidentical hormones, and that was a choice that I made as well after research and finding a doctor that wanted to work with me. I think that was big as well, and being open to kind of interview and try different doctors to find someone that I could partner
right.
with.
Yes, I completely agree with that. If you're not getting what you feel like you need, then you have a perfect right to go to another service provider, which is what a doctor is, a service provider. Not to discount, all that their knowledge and everything, but you know your body better than anybody.
Right.
So you have a right to feel better.
Gail, when we were talking about you being on the show, I asked you what you felt was a good title for our discussion. And I love this. You said how to balance your hormones without losing your mind. And it makes me laugh only because I've been in that part where I felt like I was losing my mind. so,
Well,
so do you care to talk a little bit about that? Why that title stuck out for you, and what that means to you, and the services you provide.
Well, I think that we tend to we're marketed to an awful lot, and in our culture, in the American culture, we don't um, think positively of this time of life. Where maybe your kids are leaving, you're not feeling the most positive about a job or a career or whatever. You just want something more. And at that time, it tends to be when your hormones naturally get out of whack. And it does, your mind, body are so connected. So when progesterone drops and estrogen kind of gets in charge, it kind of gets to be that those thoughts that you have kind of go a little wacky. And I think, and then your body doesn't feel this like your body anymore.
Right.
So and then you don't have a support network of people saying, this is physiological, we can fix this, you can get better, or you can get to a place that feels much better, instead of thinking that there's something wrong with you. And I've heard people say, oh, she's going through menopause, she's just crazy, give her some hormones.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a stressful time. Your body's going through changes, your mind, you're thinking these thoughts and everything, and it's inevitable that some part of your life is going to be impacted. And when we're not supported by other women, or even your spouse, a loved one, and everything, then you sort of feed into that. I'm just going crazy.
Right.
And sometimes it just takes one small tweak of. Most of us are deficient in magnesium. If you start supporting yourself with additional magnesium every day, that in itself can start you on the road to feeling better. And it's one simple tweak,
right?
That you can get rid of foggy thinking and start thinking, okay, now I'm going to start doing more things that are going to help me feel better.
Well, that's an interesting tip about the magnesium. I know that I was just reading too how magnesium can help you sleep better. Is that?
Oh,
Do you,
yes.
do you feel like that's correct?
Yes. Well, magnesium, it's gives you energy, and it also provides relaxation. And since most of us we're all deficient in it because our food supply is lacking the nutrients that used to be there because our soil's been depleted and we have all this other stuff going on.
Right.
So as we age, as we get, as we go through this life, I don't even like using that word. Um, and because of the hormone imbalance, we become even more depleted in magnesium. So just supplementing, and I can tell a huge difference in the way I feel. I started really upping my supplementation like 2 months ago, and it took. I was doing a lot more exercise, and my body was hurting more. My feet were hurting. I was waking up in the middle of the night with cramps in my feet. Oh, I hated that.
Yeah, I have those too.
Well, magnesium, it's a
Okay.
supplement that'll help. About 1,000 milligrams a day. Um, I buy a magnesium glycinate, which is super inexpensive. It's like, I think it was like $14 from Amazon, the one I get. And I just put a quarter of a teaspoon in my water, and I just drink that throughout the day. And I have felt a huge difference, and it does help you sleep. And it also helps with constipation. If you're constipated,
All those things about as we are going through life, right?
yes, yes, and it also helps the thyroid, supports the thyroid, um, which that's one of the symptoms of low thyroid is constipation. So
Right. So, what are some symptoms that women can have where it could be kind of a trigger where they need to start thinking about their hormone health?
well, I recommend that every woman, starting from in their 20s, does saliva testing. And that the reason you want to do saliva testing is that you can measure your cortisol, you can measure all of your sex hormones with the saliva testing. And the reason you do it with saliva is that is where unbound hormones are, which are the most available to your cells. Um, when hormones are bound, which means they bind to a protein, they can't fit into hormone receptors on your cells. So then they're inactive. They can't do what they need to do. So when you find out how your hormone levels through the saliva testing, you're finding out what your actual bioavailable hormones are, what the count or whatever.
Right.
So I recommend women doing that at the very least once a year.
Okay. Because that way you can get a
Right.
range for what's normal for you. Is that the reason why?
Yes, and you were talking about symptoms.
Mhm.
Symptoms when you start going through perimenopause, which perimenopause can happen anywhere between 10 to 15 years before actual menopause. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. And you're a woman.
Right.
So some of the symptoms of perimenopause are fluctuating periods, that they're not happening regularly like they used to, heavy flow, breast tenderness, of course, lack of energy. Those are probably the most important things. And during that time, that's when estrogen and progesterone really start going crazy. Sometimes progesterone tends to drop a little bit. Progesterone is the hormone that keeps estrogen kind of in check. When estrogen kind of gets more, it's not that you get a lot more estrogen. Sometimes it can be, but mostly it's because progesterone has just dropped. So sometimes you can naturally boost your progesterone so that it keeps a kind of the manager of estrogen. Estrogen is really the one that makes that unhappy thinking.
Right. Right. I'm trying to think of what the question that I get asked every year when I go in for my checkup, and I can't think of it right now, but she states it very funny. It's kind of like, oh, I'll have to think of it. I can't remember it now, but every time she asks me, I laugh because I so understand. Basically, it's either I'm ready to fight or I'm ready to cry.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Well,
mhm.
and other hormones. Cortisol plays into that. Insulin, you know, cortisol is like the manager of all hormones because it's the boss. It's that fight or flight hormone. We need cortisol, but we just need it to rise when it's supposed to rise and drop when it's supposed to drop. And it also manages insulin and blood sugar because we need those. That's where we get the energy if we need to fight or flight. But the thing about it is fight or flight means you're running away from the tiger or to save your life. But in reality, most of us aren't doing that. Most of us are sitting in traffic, or we're worrying about money, or we're in bad relationships or something, and that keeps cortisol high, which means insulin is going to be secreted from your pancreas. And then cortisol also says all hormones are focused on the fight or flight, which that's the beginning of insulin resistance when insulin can't do its job. So, it's really imperative that we learn how to manage stress, whatever that stress may be, so that we keep cortisol in that happy place, in the sweet spot where it needs to be.
Ooh, there's a lot there.
Well, I always hesitate because there's such a huge story that goes into that, and part of it is I get over enthusiastic.
No, I loved it because you really explained how it all fits together and how important it is. And you can easily see just by the way that first of all, I love that you were enthusiastic about it. And because it makes me enthusiastic about it, where normally if I were sitting in a classroom or something, it just wouldn't be as exciting for sure. But you can just see how everything is balanced and one little thing gets off. And then all of a sudden your teeter-totter of what should be happening is not happening.
Well, and with your focus, live life to the fullest, we need the mind and body to be in a synergy between those two.
Right.
If your body isn't going in the right direction of where your head and your heart want to go, it's going to impact that.
Yes.
I really believe that. And this whole sense of overwhelm is where they're both not working together. Sometimes, like I said, just doing one small tweak can calm down things enough so that you can make some more changes that are going to even push you more onto that the path where you really want to be.
So true, so true. There are so many factors that go into making positive changes in your life, and there's enough fear and there's enough feeling of sometimes inadequacy, and as you're taking these steps forward. So having your body healthy and performing at its optimal level is just so, so true. I have a checklist that I know that I have to go through. I call it creating my optimal day. So I know that I have to do these things to have my optimal day. And when I'm falling off of that, I have to always ask myself, okay, did I do these things? And it's just as easy like going to bed early enough or drinking my water, just those simple basic things to help my body keep in tune and working at its best.
Right. And I also feel that there's a lot of women not allowing themselves to be the center of their world, because when we feel good, when we're feeling well, then that spreads out to our loved ones. And if we're sacrificing our own health to take care of somebody else, eventually that's going to topple. It'll fall over. Because if you're not feeling well, you're not able to love the people the way that you're in your family. You're not able to give to the world in the way that, in all the beauty that you can give to the world.
Yes.
So I kind of think at this time of life, in particular, it's imperative that we turn our focus to ourselves. And we start doing the things that feel good to us. And I think that's great, you doing a list like that. I feel the same way. There are certain things that I just have to do. I have to go to bed I'm usually in bed and asleep by 9:30 every night. I do wake up at 5:30 every morning, just like naturally,
Right.
and I have to be outside every day. I love being outside. And I have to do my exercise. I have to exercise. I had gone for a time without exercising, and it just wears on my body, so incorporating that. And I have a smoothie every morning. I have my morning tea every morning, um, and those are the things that keep me in my center.
Right. Right. Oh, Gail, you have just such great things, and it just makes me smile. And I love that you are helping women where we are either reconnect with themselves or maybe even just discover themselves for the first time. Like you said, we are so accustomed to taking care of others and putting ourselves at the bottom of that list. And I just love that you are giving women permission to do that. I know that you have a program that's coming up starting at the end of this month. And would you like to talk a little bit about
Yes,
that?
it's my Midlife Magic program. There will be, I'll be giving more information about what it takes to naturally get your hormones back where it feels good. Um, I want to help everybody kind of reset their hormones. And I'll be giving lots of information. It's an 8-week course. Um, I'll be doing it. I think I'm going to be doing Zoom.
Okay, yes.
Um, and I give handouts. I give recipes. I want to help everybody sort of let go of things that may not be serving them. If it's food or thoughts or some things that will help women get back on the path that they really want to be living.
And for anyone who doesn't know, Zoom is a very easy program that you can use to connect with others via video or just audio. So I just wanted to fill that in. I do love using that platform, and I think you'll find it very easy to use when you connect with Gail in her program. So, and Gail, one thing I just want to point out is I feel that, I mean, I have met some certified health coaches, but I really love that you just have a holistic approach about this. It's not just about the food that we eat or the habits that we form. It's not just these individual things, and it's not just. I love that you add in sort of this mindset part of that, and I think that that's just wonderful. It's like you're building this midlife magic program around all these areas of our lives that we need to be healthy.
Right. Well, our body responds to our thoughts, and if we have toxic thoughts, our body is going to respond to those toxic thoughts. But I also think that if you are doing things physically that are positive, your thoughts are going to change more into a more positive way. So it's sort of like, working on one area is definitely going to impact something else. If it's your body, then your thoughts are going to improve. If it's your thoughts, your body, you're going to start making improvements in your body. You're going to make better choices.
Yeah, that's great. So how can our listeners connect with you and find out more about your Midlife Magic program?
I just opened a group on Facebook. It's a closed group called Midlife Magic, and I would love it if more people would join, more women would join, so we could keep this conversation going. It's a closed group, and I like to keep it open, or so that everybody can talk about what they're struggling with, and that people feel supported. And I try to do a Facebook Live every single day. I also, my website, Gail's Wellness, Gayle, Gail's Wellness, and right now I have a giveaway there that's 10 tips for detoxing from sugar, but I'm actually going to change that to my 5 hormone balancing drinks. So you can download that and get on my list. I send out a newsletter every single week, once a week, and I do a blog post every single week. So it'd be great to connect that way.
Definitely. And I will have all the links to those in the show notes for
Okay.
this
Okay.
episode. Yeah. So, Gail, I just really want to thank you so much for taking the time today and connecting with me and speaking to our listeners. And I'm just really excited. And I'm going to go look for your group and
Oh, great.
join. And yeah, I am realizing, and I think I've stated this in a couple of my other podcast episodes, is that, I have some work to do around my own health and getting up to that optimal level. Yeah, I just really appreciate you coming here and sharing, and I am going to check out some magnesium supplements for
Great
sure.
talking to you. Thank you for having this podcast. It's great.
Thank you so much, Gail, for sharing your passion for living a hormonally balanced life. Now, Gail mentioned her Facebook group, and I actually am a member of that group, and I love that she is popping in daily with a Facebook live feed and giving a daily hormone tip. It is such great information, so be sure to head over to the show notes at midlifeschmidlife.com/hormones so that you can find the link to click right on over to the group and ask to join. She's also been hosting webinars to share her knowledge as well, and she just has great stuff to share. So please connect with Gail over at the show notes, and you can find more information on how to do so there. Now, each week during the Midlife Toolbox series, I'm going to recommend an audiobook that is a great companion for the episode. So this week's book is The Magnesium Miracle by Dr. Carolyn Dean, so that you can learn more about magnesium and the role that it plays in our health. And thanks to Audible, you can download a copy by heading to midlifeschmidlife.com/book for a free trial version of Audible, and you also get the download for free as well. So once again, that's midlifeschmidlife.com/book to get your free download today. So as I'm closing out this week's episode, I invite you to begin looking at the physical changes you are going through as an opportunity. This is an opportunity to achieve balance and to begin taking an active role in your health care and learning more about loving and supporting the body that has brought you this far and has so much further to go.
Thanks for joining Liz for the Midlife Schmidlife podcast. Remember, some days are never on your calendar until you put them there. Until next time.